We are like small, small shards of glass, which once were a window reflecting the world, now scattered into different pieces. We are dispersive grisms, reflected, polarized prisms, which has been sprinkled all over the globe, restlessly searching for that original home. We are each other's compasses while exploring the world. We are each other's binoculars when we're looking up to the stars, deciphering our way home. Sometimes we find another shard and we decide to search together. Sometimes the pieces fit perfectly together and home is found. Sometimes the edges are just too sharp and the discovery of that perfect shard, that crucial fragment that will make our lives seem complete, may never occur. Some of us just continues to chafe until we disintegrate back into sand. There it is, like a majestic blue whale, peacefully floating and its blowhole splashing with water. But instead of water coming from a blowhole, it was actually a huge chimney belching out thick gray smoke. And the majestic whale body was nothing else than a big black tin can bobbing on the surface. How could such a big boat even float? Johan van Oldenbarneveld. The boat's name was Johan. At the docks, a group of trouble-minded people waited impatiently to step on board. People who felt like their situation had become untenable, too uncertain and too unsafe. It was time to leave and go far, far away from here. So from the docks, they glanced upon the sea and they thought that maybe if they looked really closely, they would be able to see their new home far away in the horizon somewhere. The clock struck, the boat gave its well-known farewell signals. It was time to step on board. So one by one, people took the first steps towards a new, unknown future. The anchor was raised and the journey could begin. So under the gazing sun, this clear but turbulent day, the boat made its way closer and closer to the horizon. Havet låg som våra då, en spegelblankt utan krom och allt var lugnt. Du tog min hand och blickade ut och sa undra om det finns ett slut. Höll mig hårt, vi steg ombord, steg för steg, högt och svindlande, i takt med solen gled resans gång. När båten sjöng sin avskedssång. So this song and this story that I just told you is from a story about my grandfather. And my grandfather, he is born in Semarang, actually. So the background to this whole show, this music that we will play today, is an album that I made to explore my roots, to explore my background from both Indonesia and also from Sweden. So, nama saya Francesca Vincentie. Thank you so much for, we're so happy to be here tonight. Thank you. Thank you to Jatiwangi Art Factory for these days together. It's been really lovely to be here. We feel very welcomed in your very inspiring community. We had a very beautiful trip yesterday where we saw the whole process from your Tana and the importance of Tana to your roof tiles to your art. It's very inspiring. Thank you so much. We're happy to be here. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, so I've been exploring my roots because my grandfather was born in Semarang and he left to go to Holland after the Independence War in 1955. So I grew up in Sweden, and there we didn't learn much about Indonesian history or the history between Indonesia and Holland and Indonesia and Europe. So I wanted to use art as a way to explore my roots. So what we will play today is the parts of that exploration. So my grandpa, he has told me a lot of stories from Indonesia because he was 6 years old when he left Semarang. So he told me about this boat trip that I told you about in the beginning, about how he saw the big boat there at the harbor in Tanjung Priok, and how he stepped on board, and how it was pretty scary because the ocean was just splashing all over, and he had to kind of climb on board, and he was a bit scared. So he still remembers this, even though he was just 6 years old, the day he left Java.
Du lämnar ditt språk, ditt hem, men själen, den finns kvar än, och skuggarna, den tid som var, kommer alltid med oss finnas kvar.
Cecilia Moore. Big applause. Just imagine you're traveling down a long, straight road, far, far away from Indonesia. You're passing our hometown, Umeå, in the north of Sweden. Outside you see big fields and deep pine forests, and the highway is scattered with speed cameras and fences to keep the big moose out of harm's way. So you're traveling north, and after passing the cities Sävar, Robertsfors, Lövånger and Bure, you arrive in a little place, in a little village called Boliden. Boliden is famous for its gold mine, actually. And in this gold mine, my grandmother, my mother's mother, she grew up in this village, and she has told me many stories about her village and about the mining industry and about the mining company who owned everything in the village. They owned the land, they owned the houses, everything. And she told me especially about one house. And this house, only unmarried women lived. And she told me that she always wondered who these women were and what they were doing in their lives. They were living together as a little community. And this story that my grandma told me really inspired me to write a song that I dedicated to these women. And I wondered who were these women? What did they do in their lives? So this song is dedicated to them. And for this song, we want to invite two very special friends, Suar and Aaf. Welcome on stage. Come and play with us. Where is Suar? Suar Nasution to the stage. Welcome. Suar and Aaf.
Minns du huset där vid havet? I en by som har mer än guld. Minns vad de fina berättar. Akta dig för att bli ensam lämnad. Bestäm mig för att fråga vem och vad. Och svara en som ville ge sig av. Hon sa, lämna mig kvar upp på berget av glas. På berget av glas. Ja, jag ville bli lämnad kvar upp på berget av glas. På berget av glas. Och jag önskar det går i krasch. Hon sa, har du någonsin sett solen gå upp över Semarang's kust? Eller badat i en fors? Varför hjärtat sprängs av äventyrslust? Ja, jag ville ge mig av ett tag. Byta land, vända blad. Vända på små stad. Ja, jag ville bli lämnad kvar upp på berget av glas. På berget av glas. Och jag önskar det går i krasch. Minns du huset där vid havet? I en by mitt i Västerbotten. Där bor hon som ingen man har, men som har mer än guld.
Terima kasih. Thank you so much. Thank you. Big applause, Suar and
Terima
Al.
kasih.
Thank you. Terima kasih.
Kita tuh sebenarnya belum pernah tahu lagu ini, tapi tadi malam kita latihan 1 kali dan seperti tadi hasilnya luar biasa. Kalau bekerja sama dengan musisi-musisi yang satu hati memang atau yang sudah profesional emang enak banget. Tepuk tangan lagi buat Francesca.
Thank you. I don't understood, but it sounded beautiful. Thank you, Suar. Yes. So for the next part of the show is about. So I both explored my heritage from my grandfather from Indonesia, but also from North Sweden, and in the north of Sweden we have Sápmi. I don't know if someone heard about Sápmi. Maybe some people. Sápmi is the indigenous land in Sweden, and it's also home to many different kinds of people. We have both the indigenous Sami people, of course, but also Swedish Finnish people and Finnish people. And Sweden, the North Sweden, Sápmi, is still today facing issues of colonialism, actually, from the south of Sweden and the rest of Europe, because the land is being exploited, and for many hundred years, the minority languages that we have in the north are being marginalized or like not really taken care of in the north from our government. So we have had a lot of issues with that in the north, and still today I wanted to share that. It's still an issue about the land and its people. And from my father's side of the family, we're a mix of both Swedish Finnish people and Sami people. And I've interviewed my father and my grandmother, and my grandmother, she speaks the language Meänkieli, which is a minority language spoken by 20,000 people. So it's a very tiny language. And I asked her a lot of questions about her youth, about our language, but she wanted to answer all these questions, but she also wanted to tell me about something else, actually. She wanted to tell me about the love of her life. She wanted to tell me about the forest man from the village Kompelusvaara, about a man sometimes referred to as Elvis of the North, about Elis Lanneblad. And my grandmother, she was that kind of person she was very stubborn. So if she had decided that she wanted something, then it just had to be that way. So when she was 18, she had decided that if she was going to get married, it had to be with a man from her own village. And she told me, don't ask me why, I just had made up my mind. It had to be that way. So now the year was 1955, and it had been a winter to remember. Cold and crisp, with meters of fluffy snow. And now it was Easter, so my grandmother, she went to her cousin to celebrate Easter. And when she arrived, she realized that there was 2 boys from the village next to her village visiting. And one of them was a bit famous, because it was a rumor that he was very good looking, actually. He looked a little bit like Elvis Presley, she told me. And the evening went on, but she didn't pay him much attention, because she had made up her mind. She wouldn't marry anyone else, only a man from her own village, no one else. So But the evening went on, and when they were supposed to walk home, Elis, this man, he went to my grandma and asked if he could just walk her home so she would get home safely. And she allowed it, and the road home that usually felt infinitely long just went by in a blink. And when they were gonna say goodbye, my grandmother got a little farewell kiss on the cheek. And I asked my grandmother if she remembers how she felt there and then on the snowy road under the northern lights. And she answered with a very cute smile, and she said, "Then I just knew. I didn't want to marry anyone else. I only wanted Elis." And this next song we would like to dedicate to your forests. We heard about your beautiful forest campaign, and it's beautiful, and we want to help share it. And so we dedicate this song to you, to the forest.
Säg att du dog för tidigt. Att du var omtyckt och snäll. De säger saker som får mig att undra vem. Du var nog speciell. 20 grader ute nu, bara kyla, inget ljus. Jag ser på dig och ser mig själv. 20 grader ute nu, ingen tvivel, bara du letar in igen. Grader ute nu, bara kyla
kecil-kecilan. So this love story that I just told you sadly had a quite fast ending because my grandfather, Elis, he died from a stroke when he was in the forest. He was only 56 years old. Is it possible to get some more vocals here? Thank you.
Jag har väntat och väntat, legat stilla i timmar, bara stirrat, undrat vad jag ska göra nu när du inte längre finns i livet här hos mig. Utan dig har jag glömt vem jag är. Utan dig, vad drömde jag om innan jag ska vänta på dig, vänta på den dagen vi ses igen.
And when he died, he left my grandmother with a hole in her chest. She said that it felt like her heart had stopped. Like her heart had stopped at the same time as the kitchen clock had stopped. At the same time as my grandfather was declared dead. ses igen. Terima kasih. Terima kasih. Yes, so I made this whole performance about my roots, and it has given me so much, so many friends, so many insights, so many perspectives about my ancestors, about my family, about the history, about the present. I feel very grateful for for my band, for all the lovely people that I met, that have shared their stories, and to my family who also trusted me with their stories, and that I could tell their stories to you and to other people. It's been amazing. So I've been traveling around to talk to my family in Sweden. I went to Indonesia 5 years ago for the first time on my own. I went to Semarang and I found the house where my family used to live. And that was very, very special. Very, very special. I felt very rooted, very... I feel almost speechless when I think about it, because it was such a special moment to really realize that I actually have roots also from Indonesia, because sometimes it's hard to understand when you're in the north of Sweden with the snow and the wind, and it was very good to come here, and I've been very well taken care of. People have helped me and shared their perspectives. I'm very grateful for that. So I found the house and I traveled around Indonesia for some time, and I came to Yogyakarta, a lovely city, and there I met a woman with shoulder-long grey fluffy hair, and she was constantly smoking. And we were sharing the same bungalow. So one afternoon, as the call to prayer was bouncing between the low house walls, we started talking, and a feeling of curiosity, but also a little bit of intimidation started to grow in me throughout the conversation. Because who was this lady? Because she had really seen the world with all its beauties and its flaws. I watched her change colors in front of my eyes like a chameleon when we were discussing issues like Indonesia's economy, and she was doing psychoanalysis of traumatized people from the Japanese occupation, and she was talking about all different kinds of stories. And I realized after a while that she was the missing piece for my exploration to be complete. Because during the 48 hours together that I shared with her, she had me realize many things. And she taught me this expression, which I think, if I remember correctly, became Indonesia's national motto after the independence war, Bhinneka Tunggal Ika, although in pieces, yet one. And this also became the name of my album, of my performance, because I really connect with this saying as well, because even though you have a scattered history maybe, even though you're all in pieces, you're still one. Yes. Thank you so much for listening. Yeah, we're so happy to be here. Thank you again for your warm welcome, for your amazing community feeling. It's been amazing to experience. I want to present my band first before next song, and our last song. From Sweden with love, Olympia Dynarek. Big applause. On drums, Maria Dahlin. And on saxophone, Cecilia Moore. Big applause. Woo! Me? Oh, yeah, okay. Me, yeah. Namaste, Francesca Vincentie Quartet. Thank you. Min tid går långsamt som en gammal person. Den krigar på som en ihärdig postiljon som utan tvivel jagar på trots väder och vind för att säga dig att sometimes I see and sometimes I don't. Hjälp mig att se när mitt hjärta stormar. Sometimes I see and sometimes I don't. Du hjälper mig att se den.
Du hjälper mig att se.
Terima kasih. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you. This was all we had to share. Thank you so much for listening. We want to invite our friend, photographer, but amazing spoken word artist, Sasha Verhey. Welcome on stage, Sasha. Thank you so much. Big applause for Sasha.
Yes. Hello, hello. Thank you for letting us be here. It's my first time in Indonesia. I have a similar story to Francesca. My grandmother is from Ambon, Maluku. She also took the boat to the Netherlands. And I'm very happy to finally visit Indonesia. And to learn a lot about your culture, and specifically Jatiwangi Art Factory and Jatiwangi and Majalengka. And inspired by all your stories, I wrote a spoken word piece that I just want to read for you, and they will just improvise and feel the flow. So there it goes. It's 7 a.m. in the morning. The sun is still low. The wind still quiet, the footsteps of the workers going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. The clay ready to be touched. After centuries of crumbling, eroded rock descending through mountain landscapes, carried by streams, it was 1905 when dreams were turned into reality. Building a home from stone to gravel to clay. The people of Jatiwangi found their way to make roof tiles. Clay hardened by heat, 8 hours burning. The industry reached its peak a decade before 1998 crisis. Despite the crisis, Jatiwangi Art Factory created something priceless. Despite the crisis, Jatiwangi Art Factory created something priceless, a medium of cultural mediation. It was 2005 when clay was turned into terracotta, pounding pottery, playing clay guitar, blowing ceramic instruments. Endless possibilities if you dare to see clay with dignity, rooted in a community. Rooted in a community. Dedication to the land, celebration of the earth, conversations on the forest, innovation, determination, constant creation. As a student and a teacher, connecting past to the present, never forget to treat clay as a present, a gift from nature. It gives a roof over your head. It brings people together. It allows for expression. It's a dream turned into passion. As a student and a teacher, connecting past to the present. Never forget to treat clay as a present. Terima kasih.